I'll make sure I share it.
All right, we're live, sir.
All right. Anybody got any questions?
You need a designated reader or anything like that, sir?
No, just I guess if I call the scripture, whatever, y'all can just, anybody got any questions in the room? No questions in the room? Y'all know the Bible. Anybody? Go to Romans 3:7 for me. I don't mind. I mean, if y'all know the Bible, y'all know the Bible. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't be scared. We don't bite. Nothing like that. This is the UPK. What's the slogan of UPK? No comment. I want to big up Yachty, man. He bought me. What's the name of that place? Turkey Hut? Turkey Hut. Man, that shit was good. You gotta take that over, Yachty, man. You gotta take that over. Yeah, I said, ooh. Who got questions?
Student, Brother Ken.
Okay, what's your questions, brother? I'll take his questions first. I want to go over what was Paul's lie. That's Romans 3:7. So at some point after I take the questions, I want to know what was Paul's lie in Romans, the 3rd chapter.
You got your questions?
You got your questions ready, brother?
Just one.
No sweat. Anybody else got any questions besides that?
So, I forgot the chapter in the scripture, but one of the classes that we brought up, I think the general class, saying that the nation of Japheth will get slaves will be sold back to them for transgressions that the Greeks or I think it was the Romans.
You said General Hyman said that?
I think it was.
I would have to confirm that first.
Okay. Well, I was just asking about the nation of Japheth. Are they going to also be slaves?
Well, you know, it said in Genesis. Give me a Genesis. I think it's.
I think he may be referring to Joel 3 when it said that we're gonna sell their children to the Sebes.
Come on. That's talking about when because y'all know the original Greeks were Japhetic people.
Right.
The white man, of course, wiped them out. The Macedonians, when Alexander came in, him and his father, they wiped out the original Greeks and then became the Greeks. So that could be true because you know the Japhites. It says they're going to dwell in the tents with us. So of course y'all know that's not talking about getting any type of salvation, but they won't have the same punishment as Edomites or something like that. But I still, before I would teach anything on it, I would just confirm that.
One more question: Did the nation of Japheth ever have us in captivity?
Not that I'm aware of. I only know of Hamitic tribes. If you want to say Shemitic tribes, because the Arabs, Esau, I know they had this in captivity.
About Moab and Ammon.
Moab and Ammon, for a short time, we was under their captivity. Yeah, in the book of Judges. Remember, that's when they made that golden. They was getting all them what's this shit? Hemorrhoids. They actually made a golden hemorrhoid. In the book of Judges. If you can find out, it might take some time, I'm not sure. But in the book of Judges, when we was going to war, we was losing. When we repented, they started defecating so much because they had the Ark of the Covenant. They had captured and taken the Ark of the Covenant. And they actually made a golden, I don't want to say hemorrhoid, it might be the wrong thing, but it was something along that line that they made. Yeah, I can see if I can find it for you. Good.
I got a question, and it's in the book of Mark, So like in chapter 14 and 52. Well,
you said Mark 14 and 52.
We're gonna start at 51, sir.
Okay, no sweat. Good.
Okay, kind. It's the book of Mark, chapter 14, verse 51. And there followed him a certain young man, having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. And the young man laid hold on him, verse 52, and he left the linen cloth and fled from them naked. I'm trying to figure out who was that young man, and what was that about?
Well, it doesn't say that. Well, you would have to imagine it says, and there followed him a certain young man having a linen cloth clasped about his naked body, and the young man laid hold of him. Who did he lay hold of? Yahawadah, right? And so he fled from him afterwards. It doesn't say who the young man was, just that he touched his cloth and fled. It doesn't say what he had. It don't even say if he had a demon. I would imagine that he did have a demon on him, more than likely. What I'm going to see, you know, when you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, usually there's another story in another chapter that maybe give more detail on it. So I see maybe there's one that gives more detail on that story. Because it's only those two verses that it talks about, because 53 changes the subject and 50 is not talking about it at all. All right. Anybody else had a question? Young man in the back.
Thank you, sir. If I could, I had a question on Ezekiel 12 and 12.
Okay.
Ezekiel 12 and 12, and the prince that is among them shall bear upon his shoulder in the twilight, and shall go forth. They shall dig through the wall to carry out thereby. He shall cover his face, that he see not the ground with his eyes. Is that prince? Is they talking about Yahawadah or like who?
Start at verse 1.
Ezekiel 12 and 1. Ezekiel 12 and 1. The word of the Lord also came unto me, saying, verse 2, Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not. They have ears to hear and hear not, for they are a rebellious house.
Keep going.
Therefore,
so what is we talking about here? We talking about rebellious who? Who's rebellious? Israel. Israel is the rebellious house we're talking about, right? Keep going.
Therefore, thou son of man, prepare thee stuff for removing, and remove by day in their sight. And thou shalt remove from thy place to another place in their sight. It may be they will consider, though they be a rebellious house.
So what is that talking about right there? And it says, thou shalt remove thy place to another place in their sight. It may be they will consider, though they be a rebellious house. What's that talking about?
When we taken out of their land, and after being in bondage, they'll consider that they sinned against Moabites.
Yeah, like maybe they won't serve me in the land that belongs to them. They won't keep my commandments. So maybe if I uproot them out of here, or maybe if I put them in captivity and put them under bondage, maybe then they will consider. And but the end of it says, though they be a rebellious house, so I don't even know if this is gonna work. You understand? Keep going.
Then shalt thou bring forth thy stuff by day in their sight as stuff for removing, and thou shalt go forth at even in their sight as that go forth into captivity. So
now you're seeing them start to get the stuff removed. And what does it mean when it says stuff by day in their sight? Now, what's the metaphor there? Why is it saying stuff by day? Excuse me, stuff by day in their sight. Why is it saying that?
Take it right in front of their face.
Thank you. It's not done in secret. You know, usually nighttime is something you're doing at night. Nobody can see it. But daytime, everybody can see. Everybody can see what's happening. It's not hidden. It's done openly. So now everything is getting taken from them in front of them. Now drop down to verse 8. I'm sorry, verse 9.
Ezekiel 12 and 9. Son of man, hath not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, said unto thee, what doest thou?
So now, after that's happening, it says, the Son of Man, have not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, saith, what doest thou? What does that mean? What were they supposed to consider? What was the purpose of this?
To follow the law?
They wasn't following the law.
It wasn't.
No, so what was the, oh, I'm sorry. You saying 2 followed them. Right. But if we was to be scripturally correct in this chapter, to consider that they were rebellious, to consider that they was breaking the commandments, because that was the whole reason why they went in captivity, for those reasons, right? So now it says, what doest thou? Read verse 10.
Say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord God, this burden concerneth the prince of Jerusalem.
No, read that again.
Ezekiel 12 and 10. Say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord God, this burden concerneth the prince of Jerusalem.
There you go. Keep going.
And all the house of Israel that are among them.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I am your son, like as I have done, so shall it be done unto them. They shall remove and go into captivity.
So who's the prince? Who's the prince? Read verse 10 again.
Say thou unto them, thus saith the Lord God, this burden concerneth the prince in Jerusalem, and all the house of Israel that are among you.
So who's the prince? The prince would be technically it's all Israel. That's why it's saying the prince in Jerusalem and all the house of Israel. Meaning this is not a burden that's just on the house of Judah. This is a burden that's on the house of Judah and the house of Israel. So that's the prince when you read verse 12, when it says, and the prince that is among them shall bear upon his shoulder. That's what we bear upon our shoulder. This captivity, this punishment, because we're that rebellious house that would not repent. And it's telling you the reason why do we even go into captivity? Every time we went into captivity, why did we go? That's true, but stick me on what the Most High did it for. It said it in this verse. That's why I had you start up top. Read verse 2.
Ezekiel 12 and 2. Son of man, thou dwellest in the midst of a rebellious house, which have eyes to see and see not.
I'm sorry. Read verse 3.
Ezekiel 12 and 3. Therefore, thou son of man, prepare thee stuff for removing, and remove by day in their sight. And thou shalt remove from thy place to another place in their sight. It may be they will consider.
That they will what?
They will consider.
Go ahead.
Though they be a rebellious house.
So why did we go into captivity? Why did the Most High put us in captivity?
Because we didn't consider.
So that we would consider. Like that's what it says right there. It says that they will consider. Like we'll consider, like why do we all repent? Like why do we all, when we found this truth, why do we come into it? Because we considered how wicked we was and we repented. That's the purpose. That's what the scripture is telling you. The scripture is telling you that maybe if they go into captivity, maybe if they get punished, maybe if their babies get ravished, their women raped, their brothers raped, maybe if they go through that, maybe they'll consider who their power is. Maybe they'll consider who the Most High is, which we've all done. So we've all considered that. That's why we're in here. And that's why everybody else is out there. That's why it says, go they be a rebellious house. Like we're the most rebellious people on the planet. Let the babies go. They're all right. They're fine. They're fine, yeah. The baby's fine. That's why we're here. Because they're a rebellious, because we're a rebellious house. What is Ezekiel? Go to Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. Go to Ezekiel 3 and 7. Is it 7 I want you to start at? Or yeah, I think it's 7. Okay. Go ahead, read it.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, verse 7. But the house of Israel would not hearken unto
Start at verse 6.
concept. Verse 6. Not too many people of a strange speech and of an hard language, whose words thou canst not understand. Surely had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee.
That's what the Lord's saying about Israel. We so rebellious, like when it is saying not to a people of a strange speech. No matter what language, you can go to Cali, you can go to Canada, you can go to UK. We don't have a problem with our communication and talking to each other. But when you're talking about serving the Most High, it's like a brick wall.
Right.
It's like a brick wall. It's a problem. That's why it says, not to a people of a strange speech, of a hard language. But he says, if I would have sent you to those of a strange speech and a hard language, they would have listened.
Right.
So if he'd have sent us to the Moabites, they would have learned our language, translated, and they would have served.
Right.
If he'd have sent us to another nation, that's what he's saying here. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 7. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me.
That's the hard job we have. You ever go to camp and you be thinking you about to wake 1,000 brothers up.
Right.
You go to that camp, now one brother take a flyer, or he take a flyer, walk down, throw the flyer on the ground and shit. You be like, damn. You know what I mean? Or you be building a school and it be just you for like a year. And you're like, damn, is this the word? But you going out teaching and brothers like, oh yeah, what you're saying is good. Yeah. But they never follow through because that's us. They won't hearken unto. That's why you can never take this personal. Right. If they ever not listening to the word of the Most High, don't ever take it like they not listening to you, or you make it personal, because they didn't hearken to the Most High either back then. Like we think that back in biblical days, like they was just serving the Lord.
Right.
Yeah, you ever get them righteous cats with the Bible? They swear we gotta take it back to the old days. Right. Nah, man, the old days was messed up. The whole reason Christ had to come because the old days was messed up. Right. He was doing everything improper. Remember, Ezekiel was saying this back then, and we just as hard-headed right now. Right. You understand? So we're that rebellious house that is talking about.
Like you, sir. But are the souls that are under the throne in the book of Revelations, chapter 6, verse 9, are they the same souls? If you go back to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 9, that were sealed in their foreheads by the angel with the inkhorn.
Okay, give me Revelation 6 and 9.
Count, sir. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh.
What did you want to pair that with? You just changed your whole voice up, son. Yeah, you know what I mean? Nah, listen, I gotta listen. When I was a trooper, I had a reading voice too. You used to get to read from your stomach and everything. I relate. What's the precept you had though?
For Ezekiel 9, sir, the souls that were sealed with the inkhorn.
Okay, you don't want to say that that's a precept. Wait, I'm sorry. Read the precept. Ezekiel 9 and what?
Chapter 9, verse 4. Are they could that be correlation? The book
when it says go and Ezekiel 9 and 4 talks about mark them on their foreheads that sigh and cry for all the abominations. So you know that takes place to this day. Ezekiel 9 and 4. So you can use it as a precept. That might be a little too much. If you want to just surmise Revelation 6 and 9, that goes for all of us that died or that were slain serving the Most High. Read Revelation 6 and 9 again.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh.
So that would be everybody. That would be Peter, John that got beheaded, all of the prophets that got killed serving the Most High. So that would be perpetually up until this day. Anybody that died serving the Most High, that would be them being slain for that. So that would apply. All right. Any other questions? Okay.
My question is like, what is manna? Like,
manna?
Yeah, like I mean, I know it gives a description.
It's like a I don't want to say bread.
Is it a fungus?
It's like a fungus.
Yeah, because it grew up during the daytime.
What did the scripture say manna was? It says manna came from where?
Morning dew. It came from the morning dew.
Right, but no. But what did they say manna was?
Angel food.
So I don't think angels eat fungus.
Right.
I wouldn't call it fungus. I think they would require a better meal. I know I would. Hand me no fungus. But if anybody have a Bible dictionary, you can look up the word manna. Mm-hmm. And go to Ezekiel 16 and 31. And who got Ezekiel 16 and 31? It doesn't have it in there? Okay, who has Ezekiel 16, Exodus 16 and 31? Yeah, so I can know.
I got it.
Yeah, read it.
Somebody want to give me the slice.
It's the book. The book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 31. And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafer made with honey.
So that's what I would say, man. Like a wafer made with honey.
So this would be something that only grew then, while they was in the wilderness.
Well, this say it came from heaven. Like this is what the Most High made come down. Right?
So like I said, I had my question was, I'm trying to get a breakdown of Revelation 12 just so I can get clarity, because I know it's a metaphor, but I don't really know the breakdown for it.
Revelations 12 and what?
Chapter 12 starting at 1, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Come. The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
So what's that talking about?
So like I said, if I could, I believe the woman would that be Israel there?
Say again?
Would the woman be Israel?
Okay, start first when it says a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. What is that?
Wisdom and understanding.
Wisdom and understanding is always, when you see the sun and the moon, it's always talking about wisdom, like that. All right. So the woman, and it says the woman, and upon her head was 12 stars, which represents what?
The 12 tribes of Israel, sir?
There you go. All right. Keep going.
Verse 2. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered.
So now, who's the child that's in pain to be delivered? Got it?
Trying to bring forth the birth of the nation.
Not the birth of the nation.
Oh, Christ.
Thank you. It's to bring forth the birth of Christ. That's the child that's coming. That's why when we read down, you're going to see Satan is trying to stop that child from being born, because that would be the ruler. That would be the end of his kingdom. All right. Keep going.
Come, sir. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
What's that talking about? What's the dragon?
That's That's Satan.
But what's the dragon specifically?
So like I said, if I could, the nation, the white man.
It's specific though.
The army of the white man.
The army. Like the dragon breathes fire, that's the white man. He's a fire-breathing dragon. That's talking about his military might. That's what the dragon represents. All right. What does it mean when it says having 7 heads and 10 horns? What is the 7 heads and 10 horns?
I know it's like the different nations that are under the military power.
Yes, but give me more specific. That's true.
It's like, so would that be like the NATO or like the EU?
More specific, the 7 heads are the 7 powers. The 10 horns are the governments or the nations that come up under them, which I have for you. So the 7 heads are Portugal, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, and England. Those are the 7 heads. Now the horns are the nations that come from them. The 7 heads are the powers. The 10 horns are the nations that come out of those powers. I said Portugal, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, and England. All right, those are the 7 powers. The 10 horns are Belgium, which belongs to France, the Netherlands, which belongs to Germany, Luxembourg, which also belongs to Germany, Denmark, which belongs to Germany, Ireland, which belongs to England, Switzerland, which belongs to Germany, Australia, which belongs to England, Austria, which belongs to Germany, Scotland, which belongs to England, and America, which also belongs to England. All right, so that's, so when you see them 7 heads and 10 horns, that's what it's talking about. So keep going.
Come on, sir. And his tail drew the 3rd part. Salakia. What was that, sir? Oh,
verse 4.
Come. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth.
Okay, what does that mean?
That's what I want to know. The tail that drew the stars of the earth. Is that like George Bush dying? Like the stars of the white man? Like.
So now the tail drew a 3rd. Wow. So a tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven. So what are the stars of heaven?
Would that be us? Or would it be the leadership of these 7 heads? I mean, like the people at the top of them, are they established?
Remember, when we're talking about the stars of heaven, we're not in heaven right now. Right? This is all about the woman, right? She has 12 stars, right? So when you get to verse 4, it says, and his tail drew a 3rd part of the stars of heaven. That's not talking about the stars in verse 12. All right? Let me get clarity on verse 4 before I explain it. I'd rather do that. Keep going, verse 5.
Come on, sir.
I'm sorry, read it into verse 4.
Come on, sir. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
So what is that talking about?
Like if I could, like earlier you were saying that Christ was the child, so that's like these nations trying to stop Christ from.
That's exactly what it's talking. Right. So now the dragon is standing there waiting to destroy Christ as he's coming out.
So would that be they trying to stop the spirit of Christ?
Absolutely. Right? Keep going, verse 5.
Come. And she brought forth child. And she brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up into God and to his throne.
So even though they try to destroy that child was taken up with the Most High, which is where Yahawadah sits to this day. Right? Read verse 6.
Okay. And the woman fled into the wilderness, and where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
So what is the wilderness talking about? Yeah, me and Yadi was talking about this earlier today. What is the wilderness? Who knows what the wilderness will be?
America, sir?
No. Young man.
Is that when she fled, when Joseph fled, and went somewhere else?
No, this is now what we're talking about now is something that's going to happen now.
Well, it's prophetic.
Right. So what would the wilderness be? Y'all do know, yeah, like do y'all know the sequence of events? Like when Yahawadah comes, we get taken up in the chariots. What happens after that? Young man in the back. Thank you. The wilderness that's talking about is the wilderness that will be placed at. So like, okay, we always talk about the sky cracking, Christ coming, right? So when Christ comes, we get taken up. Go to Revelations 11 and get up.
So when we get placed in the wilderness, would that be like the heavenly host Hebrew Academy for us?
Yeah. So now go to Revelations 11 and 12. Now, when you read Revelations 11, the beginning of the chapter talks about the two witnesses, which is representing the house of Israel and the house of Judah, which is prophesying the end of this place, prophesying to the four corners of the earth. When you read Revelations 11 and 12, who has that? Can't read that.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 12. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them.
So now that literally means we could be on that street corner and that sky crack and we get taken up then. The process is not like when it says he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved in Matthew the 24th chapter. It's going to be at the very end that we have to endure, like literally. Like you're going to see World War III happen. You're going to be seeing nations going to war. In the middle of that, when Christ returns, that's when we get caught up and we'll be put in that wilderness that we're reading about in Revelation, the 12th chapter. Now, in that wilderness, we'll be getting organized. We'll be getting structured, because what happens when we come back down out of that wilderness?
If I could, sir, we'll be ruling the earth.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, Jeremiah 16 and 16. Yeah.
So the wilderness is not like being in the desert and training in nothing like training in the desert. Nothing like
nothing like that. It's using the wilderness as a metaphor because it's a temporary place. Remember, we was in the wilderness before for our wickedness for 40 years. So that nation died out. That nation of Israelites died out. So the nations that went in, only Joshua and Caleb, I believe, was the only ones that actually went into Israel. The other nations, the other Israelites died off. This wilderness will be those that survive, and now we'll be organizing, regrouping, and everything. So when we come back, we can rule this place. That's what that wilderness is talking about.
So you said like things like World War III could be going on, and the sky could crack. We'll be on the corners, like we could be on.
Y'all gonna stop teaching? I ain't never stopped teaching.
So, right. So the question I had was in Amos 8:11, it says, behold, the days come, said the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor of thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea.
You're at 8:11, right?
Come.
Okay.
And they shall, I'm at 12.
No, you started at 11, right?
Come.
Okay.
In verse 12, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east, they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. So, what's your question? So isn't that saying like there's gonna come a time where we're not gonna be on the corner, where they're gonna be looking for us? We're not.
There was a time where was there not already a famine in the land? Before we died. Before 1969, where was the truth at? Doors was closed. But everybody was seeking knowledge. Everybody was saying, this is the way of the Lord. You had the Marcus Garveys, you had the Nat Turners, you had the every black and black, and so forth. But that wisdom was closed. We're not in that wisdom being closed now. And unless y'all plan on leaving, I know I'm not. That wisdom ain't going nowhere now. Now, it could be closed to everybody else, but it won't be closed to us. You understand? Yeah, we're going to be prophesying up until the end. All right. So now go back to Revelations 12.
11 and 12?
No. Back to Revelations, the 12th chapter. You need the dragon part, right? You need that part too? 7? The Satan going down to earth. Okay, no sweat. Go to Revelations 12 and 7.
Book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 7. and there was war in heaven.
Somebody give me 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, around the 28th verse, I believe. I'll confirm it for you in a second. You can read that scripture though.
Okay. Verse 7. Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon.
So what is that talking about right there?
Is that the Air Force and his chariot?
Yeah, that's Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. The angels, of course, if you read it in Hebrew, would just be powers. So this war that you're seeing in heaven is the white man and his nations, and the Arabs and every other nation. The Hamites going to join them. Every nation is going to join them to fight against the angels or the powers. The precept for that is go to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter and the 29th verse.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Okay. So now we're talking about when they say deliver them that are upon the earth. Is the white man, in this verse, is the white man going to get delivered? No, he is, though. Is the Hamites going to get delivered? Is the Arabs going to get delivered? Based on this verse we're about to read. I know it don't seem like it, but they about to. But it ain't the, I know when y'all seen deliver, you can get like saved, like he getting that hand, he falling off the damn mountain, and we going to pull him up. Nah, that ain't what it's talking about. All right? But that's why it says deliver them that are upon the earth, meaning he going to come to destroy. All right? Keep going.
Verse 30. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
And he's going to come to the astonishment. Why is he going to come to the astonishment? Like, what is it? Describe this to me. Like, what's happening? They say he's going to come as an astonishment to them that are on the earth.
They go,
Yeah.
Basically, because everybody believes there is no God, and
Right.
Christ isn't real.
You got those that believe there is no God. You got those that question us every time we say that sky gonna crack. You know what I mean? You got those that say the Israelites that don't believe there will be an actual return.
Right.
You understand? It's going to be an astonishment to us. Is it going to be an astonishment to the powers? No, it's not. Like, they're preparing for this war. I always bring up the same thing. In 1984, Ronald Reagan had that UFO speech where he said, I wonder if we would put our petty differences aside if there was a threat from another planet, from another world, and we would put our differences aside. If you just YouTube Ronald Reagan UFO speech, that's what he said.
Exactly. I mean, that's pretty much in line with Trump talking about building the space force.
Right, because they all know that it's coming, and so their desire, like them movies that come out like the Independence Days and all that, that's to get you prepared because they're gonna say this is the aliens, and you're gonna believe it's a damn. You're gonna believe Independence Day came true. So now you got to go fight against the alien regime. Yeah.
Like that'd be the mark of the beast.
No, the mark of the beast is no, I wouldn't call that the mark of the beast. I would just say that those that ain't in here. When I see the sky crack, I'm gonna praise the Lord. I'm outside and all kinds of shit. It's about that damn time. Keep reading now.
Verse 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
So this is letting you know when he appears, you're gonna see wars of nations against other nations. So you're gonna see that's why it's always a threat of the so-called World War III. Right. The Bible calls it the third world, right? So there's always going to be that. And so you're going to see nation fighting against nation. It's going to get a point where it's going to get real intense amongst the nations. That's when Yahawadah will appear. Keep going.
Verse 32. And the same, and the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I shewed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
So now when you read the beginning of this chapter, this is the breakdown of the beginning of this chapter. So he's saying this is going to happen when the Son appears. Keep going.
Verse 33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle, and they have one against another.
So now you're seeing the Africans that's fighting against the Arabs going to stop. The Jewish man fighting against the Arabs going to stop. The Americans against the Russians, that's going to stop, because they're going to say, we can't fight each other because we got this common enemy, which that's the spirit of this place anyway.
Right.
When 9/11 fell, the Democrats and Republicans were not enemies to each other no more, because they had a common enemy. So they're going to see Christ and the angels as the common enemy, the biggest enemy that they've ever had. It's going to have to involve every nation. So when you go back to Revelations 12:7, that's what that's referring to. So go back to Revelations 12:7.
You want me to read 7 again?
I like it, sir.
Yeah.
I got a precept. Could I use Revelation 19:19?
What does that say?
And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the throne.
Absolutely.
Sat on the horse against his army.
Absolutely. That's why. What does it say in that same chapter? What does Revelation 19 say that he has? The crowns of the nation. Yeah, the crowns of the. Like, you ever seen that movie 300 when he had the crown? That's Christ. Like all that shit they be getting from the Bible, all that cool shit, all that cool shit. He got them crowns. That's gonna be Christ. That's an excellent precept. In the back.
Is 2nd Ezra 15 and 17 talking about the same thing?
What does that say?
It said, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
No, that's more so talking about the civil wars that will be taking place.
Okay.
Like when you read the verse above that, when it says there shall be sedition among men and invading of one. These are things that would take place prior to Christ's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like race wars and riots. That's what that's talking about. All right. So now let's go back to it.
All right, so adding on that, so I mean, basically, it's gonna be like how America was like when it was getting colonized. We had like French, the Spanish. So basically, it's gonna be like Texas going against Mississippi.
Right. You're gonna have different nations warring against each other, and then they're gonna stop the war against each other to fight against Christ. All right. Keep going.
Okay, you want me to read 7 again, sir?
You don't have to. You understand.
I understand, sir. Come. The book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 8. And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent.
Why is it saying that old serpent?
So like the serpent, because that's the same serpent from the garden.
That's right. The same serpent from the garden is the same serpent it's talking about right now. It's the same exact thing. It says that old serpent, go ahead.
Called the devil and Satan.
Why is it saying called the devil and Satan? Is that his actual name? What do we call? What is he called by birth? Esau, or Edomites, right? Well, today would be the so-called white man. So why is he called devil and Satan?
Would it be because, all right, so devil is a word used for a man, right? And Satan is a spirit. So the serpent would be the spirit from the garden, and the devil is used would be the man, which would be Esau. So the spirit of Satan is placed in Esau to do the will.
Yeah, I would even say devil is just devil and Satan are titles. You know what I mean? All of these are titles that we put on people. Like we call niggas devils sometimes. Right. You know what I mean? We call niggas Satan sometimes. Right. The white man is Satan. Like that's the physical counterpart to the angel Satan. Right. And he's the number one deceiver. So those are titles that you would put on him. That's why he's saying that was called devil. That was called Satan. Keep going.
Come on, sir. Which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
And all that means is he was just taken down. So imagine he was in heaven, now he's cast into the earth, so now he's brought to that low state. That's why it's using heaven and earth, because heaven is above, earth is below. So now he's going to go from being up on high to now being brought down low. His rulership is gone, his power is gone. Now he's the servant when he used to be the master.
Right.
All right. You needed more?
Wow, sir. I had another question. Is that like kind of correlated with the scripture? I don't know the exact precept, but like what where it says, is this the man that made the earth tremble? Like they'll be.
Yeah, that's Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14 is perfect to go with this because it says, "It's they that look upon thee shall narrowly look upon thee." It says, "This the man that made the earth a wilderness." Because we'll look at this bastard and be like, "This."
Yeah, right.
Like this the cat. Right. This the cat that was punking everybody. This the cat that was killing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
I got a question.
Okay. So when it talks like in Isaiah, it talks about the white man being eradicated at one point.
Right, he will be.
Would that be the only nation that just gets completely eradicated? Yeah. But that would just be in slavery still?
Yeah, the white man. Well, the nation's not going to serve slavery forever. now, because we're not white people, we don't enslave permanently. You know, in Proverbs 29, it says, "When the righteous are in authority, the earth rejoice. When the wicked are in authority, the people mourn." So the other nations will serve out their punishment, and then they'll be allowed to go back to their nations and be second-class citizens. Now, they can't break no laws of ours. They break laws of ours, they will get punished. The white man is the only race that will eradicate or disappear. And it's not that hard to do. They just won't reproduce children. Like their fathers or their sons or their uncles or whatever won't produce kids. That's how you eradicate others.
So they won't be killed immediately.
No, why would you want them killed immediately?
Right. They gonna
now some of them some of them will. You know, a lot of them will, but they also will serve out slavery. Like, but I wouldn't want them killed. I wouldn't want them all dead. I want them to suffer. You know what I mean?
So, I just wanted to add to some likewise point when he was saying with the white man, the only one that's going to be eradicated. I mean, honestly, just seeing what we've been through for all this time. As far as the other nations, yeah, they had a hand in all of that. So, of course, sometimes being served as slaves is justified. But personally, the white man is who I really, want to suffer to the point of what they're gonna suffer to and be eradicated. So
yeah, I mean, I hate a lot of people. I mean, Edomites, white people is the top.
Right.
But the Chinese people, I hate them motherfuckers. You got them Arabs and them Africans, but again, they're not as diabolical as the white people.
Right.
And the white man has to die for the earth to survive.
Right.
He's like a virus.
Right.
You let him loose, this earth will be gone. He'll take every resource. That's not our nature to do. If we're following the laws of the Most High, imagine the laws of the Most High, 7 years we're able to till the ground, but then you gotta let it alone for a year. That allows the earth to replenish. Right. The white man would never think that that's a good idea. You know what I mean? But the Most High does. So the white man has to be able. Amen. Good.
I got a question regarding the slavery that's going on in the kingdom. Being that we the smallest population, the smallest nation on the planet Earth, how will the slavery get
what?
Slavery, because we got all these nations.
Because we're the smallest nation.
Yes, sir.
There was a video I seen, right? I watched this video online. It's Animal Nature, right? And in the video, there was this lion being attacked by 20 hyenas. Just one lion. You seen that? How did he survive?
I saw that today.
Brother came, right? How many came? So it was only 2 lions against what?
20 hyenas.
Against 20 hyenas. Never look at numbers never look at needing numbers to dominate.
Right.
You should just be able to dominate. Those 2 lions made all 20 of those. Now you would think 2 niggas, 20 hyenas. The hyenas should have been able to whoop their ass. But they know that they're dealing with lions.
No, that wasn't exactly what I was asking. Sorry, I was asking, we're going to have pretty much 75% of the 80% of the population is in slavery. How's that? Who we going to sell slaves to, being that we the smallest population that we...
Well, you know, a lot of the nations are going to get wiped out. So we'll keep those in slavery. Those that ain't in slavery those that are not enslaved may be in their land. You understand? We just need enough to build our city. Like Jerusalem got to get built. Land of Judah got to get built. Land of Gad got to get built. Our nations got to get built. Once they're built, then you can go back. All right? Okay, sis. Okay. What's your question?
Turn it on.
Thank you. How many times will we be reincarnated? When does it stop? Like
When Christ comes. Well, okay, reincarnation as a whole never stops. So from the time of Genesis up until currently now, we have all died and come back and died and come back. That's life. That's like anything. It's like animals. It's like fruit. It's like water. It's like air. Everything just reincarnates. So when you see a baby, as long as you see babies coming through the womb, that's reincarnation. So it's never going to stop. Okay.
I got a kind of question off there too. Like, okay, we the 12 tribes now. So when I come, like I'm Judah. So when I die and come back, I come back through my Judah line.
That's it.
When you look at like the Abraham and then the Isaac, then like the ones before Israel, does the Bible speak on who is specifically?
No, they'll just come in. Like you can't say Isaac came back as a Reubenite or a Gadite. I mean, who even cares? You just know he came back as an Israelite. You know what I mean? So you couldn't teach that. Give me Hebrews 9:27 real fast on the subject of reincarnation. I want to see if y'all ever got asked this question.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 27. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment.
So now, you know, those that are opposed to reincarnation say you only appointed once to die. So reincarnation can't be true. So, how would you cut them? You only die once. You only die one time.
Well, could you use like even with Elijah? When Elijah died, they say he would come back before Christ come back. But Elijah didn't technically come back. The spirit came back.
Okay, now I'm gonna play the cat. I'm a role play. I'm gonna play the cat. That's not. I don't believe in reincarnation. Okay. All right. Now y'all know I'm acting right now.
Okay.
I'm good at it. So I'm the guy that don't believe in it. So now ask that question again.
Okay, would it be like how Elijah did die once?
Where does it say Elijah died?
When he went up.
Where does it say he died?
Well, that would be the same.
It don't say he died.
He ain't living today.
He got taken up in the chariots, my brother. He's with the Lord. Anybody else? Scripture say he's only appointed. It is only appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment.
You only die once.
Say it again.
If I die once. So yeah, when I die, I'm dead. I'm not coming back in this body. So you are only appointed once to die.
That's absolutely correct. See how easy that was?
I said that.
You ain't say that. You ain't say that. You start running to Elijah. But you know, you can use Elijah.
Right.
No, you ain't have to do that. We're only going to die once. Like you can't, in this body that you have right now, you can't die but one time. And that body decays, and then you're born back into the earth. So that's all it means. Sometimes people use this scripture to try to say reincarnation is not true. You're appointed to die. Any other questions in the back?
I think
I think in Revelation it says something about a second death.
That's Revelation, the 20th chapter.
Yeah.
What is the first death? Go to Revelation, the 20th chapter. There's two deaths everybody has to go through. Excuse me. Yeah, everybody should go through, but unfortunately, everybody's not going to go through. Some people only going to have the second death. Hopefully, we should only go through one death. I'm saying that wrong. You're either going to go through the first death or you're going to go through the second death. Revelations 20.
The first death would be us
and, second.
The first death would be us killing our old man coming into the truth.
That's correct. Read Revelations 20 and 4.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw a throne, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahawadah and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
Keep going.
Verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
So the first resurrection is what? Now, when y'all read Revelations, y'all know that it's not to be taken linearly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Revelation is all over the place.
So I got a question about verse 5. It said, but the rest of the dead lived not again till 1,000 years were finished. So would that be like the 2/3?
Yeah.
So that'd be
I
like,
don't really like to use that term, but yeah.
Okay, well that'd be like those that don't get on the chariots,
right?
Dying, so they wouldn't be reincarnated until a long time.
Yeah, like you'll know because when you start seeing them babies come, you're gonna know this baby is one of the bastards. I gotta make sure I watch him.
Right.
this cat didn't listen.
Right.
You know what I mean? I gotta make this son, I gotta watch this son, I gotta make sure he keep the law because he didn't have the first death, which the first death is putting away your old man.
Right.
So whatever you were, or old woman. So whatever you was in the world, you put that away, you became a new man, a new woman. That's the first death that you survive, so that you can reign with Christ for that 1,000 years, which is a long span of time. Don't think about it literally. All right. Read. You want to say something?
So I don't want to sound Christian when I ask this question.
Well, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So you hear a lot of good.
Right. Yeah, go ahead. Bust it down. Yeah. Well, he gave him the mic. Go ahead, let me in.
So, all right. So, the first resurrection, right? So would that be those that go through the Great Tribulation and the beginning of the third woe?
That would be anybody that served the Most High until the end. So, like, you know, you can have those that are in the grave that died that have not been reincarnated yet, but they died serving the Most High.
Right.
Like Yahawadah, for example, one of the founding members of I.S.U.P.K. He died while in the truth. So imagine if he's not reincarnated here and the end was to come, he would be a part of the first resurrection. So it's not, you don't necessarily have to go through the third woe, as you were saying, to make it through the first resurrection.
So when Christ reigns for 1,000 years.
Say that one more time.
When Christ reigns for 1,000 years, would it be like, all right, so the people that did survive, you know, that went into the wilderness or whatnot, are these people living during the entire reign? Like Methuselah?
1,000 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to live a long time. Just think about it as a long time. Like, you know how they said, like, death is not going to reign anymore? Because we're not going to die at 50 or 60. Right? You know, you'll be able to live a long, good time. You know, like, you ever have grandparents that die like 90? You don't really mourn for them.
Right.
Because you figure they lived a long time,
Right.
a good life. Where someone dying at 40 or 45, you're going to mourn for them, which we have a lot of that.
Right.
So now, in that kingdom, under the rulership of Christ, we're not going to die like that. But if someone does die, you're not going to mourn for him because he had a long and good life. That's what it's going to be. Okay.
Oh, you want me to read verse 6?
No, the brother had his hand up.
Yes, like I said, if I could, I just wanted to make sure I got a correct precept for what Apostle Malakwa had said as far as when you die, your spirit come back.
Okay.
The book of Psalms 104, verse 29.
Sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right,
Conscience. Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die, and return to their dust. Verse 30. Thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And that's not just with, your sister got a question too. And that's not just with us as humans. That's also with animals. It's also with the trees. It's also with the plants. It's also with fish. That's everything. Like the Most High created a perfect ecosystem called the planet Earth. So everything dies. When you think about it, water chemically dies. It evaporates, it goes up to the clouds, and when the clouds get full enough, the rain comes back down to evaporate again, and come back down. It's the cycle that never ends.
So is reincarnation what Job was talking about when he talks about his change time?
Where at? Let me know.
In Job 14:14.
Let me, can you read it?
If
Job 14 and 14. Okay.
All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change comes.
Okay, when Job was saying like that, like Job is in anguish when he's talking about that. So he said, if a man dies, shall he live again? So like he's questioning the Most High. Now he's not speaking with this great wisdom at this point. It's almost like I don't want to go as far as say cursing the Most High, but he's angry because he's going through all this punishment and torment, and he think he's perfect. So he's like, shall a man die and live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. Meaning he thinking his change going to come in that life, not in the reincarnated life. So he's saying all the days of my appointed time, meaning my appointed time when it's supposed to be better, I will wait until my change comes. That's what he's saying. He's just not saying it to do. All right. Good.
I wanted to, sir, can I get a breakdown of Romans 7, 14 through 21?
Okay, let's go to Romans 7. You said 14 through 21? Okay, no sweat, go ahead.
All right, this is the book of Romans, chapter 7, verse 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin.
What does that mean? Who knows what that means? We know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. What does that mean? The law is spiritual. Good.
All right, so the law is the whole new man. So most I got is spirit, so it's spirit.
Right. So when it's saying, okay, our carnal desires would have us do what? Our flesh, right? So we would do whatever we want to do. Pretty much what we all was doing before we found the truth.
Right.
You was doing whatever your flesh, whatever made your flesh feel good, that's what you were doing. So that's why I'm saying the law is spiritual, because it's the spirit of the law that keeps us intact. That's what we're under now. We're not under a Levitical law. There's no Levitical priest that keeps you from eating pork, keeps you keeping the Sabbath, keeps you growing your beard the way it grows and carrying the traditions and customs. You do that on your own because you become spiritual and you fight your carnal desire. So that's why he's saying, well, we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. Keep reading.
Verse 15. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate,
that I do.
Okay. What does that mean? This is why, this is why Peter said, those that are unstable and unlearned wrestle with Paul's writings. So what is wait, read 15 and 16 together.
Come. Verse 15. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. That do I. Verse 16. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that is good. That it is good.
So what is this 2 verses talking about? Remember, we're talking about the spirit and the flesh. Keep going. Go ahead, Malak.
Is it talking about, I would say, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. The things that's in the law that he's not supposed to do, he does do those things. And the things that he's like keeping the law, what he is supposed to do, he hates to do that. But now through Christ, he's doing it.
Right. Exactly. Look at Malak break it down. That's what it's talking about. Like, this is what Paul is saying. What you used to do, you don't do no more. And at one time, what you hated, you do. You understand? So at one time, we hated that you couldn't eat pork, couldn't eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. Some people love to cook a bag of shrimp, or eat some pork, or go to Sunday service, or celebrate Christmas. So now you don't do that. But you do keep the Passover, the Feast of Dedication, those things that you do. That's what it's talking about. All right, keep reading. You said all the way to 21, right? Keep going.
Verse 17. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me.
So now when it says in 16, when it says, if I then do that which I would not, I consent unto the law, that is good. So when you're doing that, that's good. But in verse 17, it says, now then it is no more I that do it, but sin dwelleth in me. If you do the things that you would do carnally, it is not you doing it, but it's the sin that dwells in you. You understand? Keep going.
Come on, verse 18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing.
So what is he saying?
Oh, fleshly is sin.
Yeah. If he had to live by his flesh, there is no good thing in his flesh. Which there is no good thing in us. Like there's no good thing in our flesh. If you think I'm lying, look at your life before the truth. It's only because you became spiritual that you got right. There was no good thing in your flesh. All right, keep going.
For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not.
Again, the flesh. For to will is present, meaning you got the desire. How many times y'all tell a brother, you telling that brother to come, I'm coming, but he'll never come. He has the will, but the desire is not in him to actually do it.
So is this like an example of the parable that Christ gave with the sower and seed, like one on stony ground, one against amongst thorns and thistles?
I'm thinking more so, in the scripture when it says the word of the Most High is like a lovely song. In Ezekiel, I think it's Ezekiel 11, it said the word of the Most High is like a lovely song. Like you hear that song, that shit sound good to you. But you're gonna change the channel eventually. You know what I mean? You're not gonna do no, it's just a song. You know what I mean? That song jamming.
Is it like the precept when they talk about eating the roll and it's bitter to my taste?
Well, no, because only Ezekiel and them ate that roll, and it was bitter when he ate it. It was good and it got bitter, but they served the Most High. Whereas in this one, it's not saying that. All right, keep going.
Verse 19. For the good that I would do.
Excuse me, read again.
I
know it's a little tongue twister. Take your time.
For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do.
That's us. Like what it's telling you, what it's basically telling you is if you're having this battle between your flesh and your spirit, if you live fleshly, you'll be a sinner. Anytime you live fleshly, you'll be a wicked sinner and then you'll die. The only thing that we can do is live spiritually. You understand? You need all the way to 21, right?
No.
You good to go? All right, no sweat. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that, you know, like this is really heavy, you know what I'm saying? Because that's just like for those who, like I'm in the truth now, like I was just having a conversation like this with a brother. Like if someone was, you know, it ain't gonna happen, but if I was to just leave the truth, where would I go? Because I know how I was when I was in the world.
Right.
Like what the hell I'm gonna do? Sit at home and just be watching I.S.U.P.K class? Like, you know, it's really stupid, you know what I mean? Like, it's because I know without the truth, I know how I was before the truth, so there's no way I could live like without it.
Get that brother hand. Like that's how everybody has to look at it. Like there ain't no life for you. When you gonna go back to your mama's house? You know, mama waiting for you to come back home. Come on, let me make that sandwich for you. You want that ham sandwich I used to make for you? No, I mean, what you gonna do? I don't understand leaving the truth. Like I don't even know what that means.
Right, sir. And you know, especially like with the family, like how can I face them after this a cult, this and that? And I'm like, nah, this is the home of the truth. You playing it. I mean, all this time
they gonna talk about you like a dog too.
Good night.
Like a straight dog.
So lucky, they gonna accept you. If you leave the UPK and say all that, oh man, I was tripping, they gonna be like, oh, right. You can come back. Just come back and celebrate Christmas and essentially being a heart.
Yeah, come on back. Right. And when you leave, I told y'all that nigga was gonna come back.
Right, they're gonna talk about you.
That nigga was crazy as hell rolling with the coke man. So anybody else? Okay, young man. Wait, grab the mic.
Okay, I was wondering if I could get a breakdown on 2nd Ezra 18. I was told by a fake Israelite that Esau and Jeremy was the two witnesses, but I was wondering if you could break that down.
You said 2nd Ezra what?
18, but probably start from like
2nd Ezra 18.
Yeah, ain't no 2nd Ezra 18. Look, I'm pulling up the Apocrypha. So that's a fake Israelite for sure.
He be faking like a mother.
So like, you said 2 and 18?
2 and 18.
Okay, go ahead.
I probably want to start from maybe 12 or something like that.
Okay, let me read 2 and 18 first.
2nd Ezra 2 and 18. For thy help I will send my servants Esau and Jeremy, whose counsel I have sanctified and prepared for thee 12 trees laden with diverse fruits.
I'll have to talk to General Hyman about that one before I answer that.
Huh.
Any other questions? Give me wrong. No, okay. No, go ahead.
I had a question. In Romans, the 3rd chapter, I say like right here, verse 10, as it is written, there is none righteous.
Where you at now?
Romans chapter 3 and 10.
Okay.
As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. So, Christians, you know, Christians will pull the scripture to say, like, if I was to say I'm righteous and I keep the law, which I keep the law, and they pull that as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. Isn't the context of this him saying that it's him talking to people who are not in the truth, right?
Okay, this actually goes to the question I had asked earlier. What was Christ? What was Paul's lie? Right? So now read Romans 3 and 9. Start there.
The book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 9. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved both Jews and Gentiles that they are all under sin.
So what is it talking? What is that talking about? Remember, the audience that Paul is talking to is, of course, in Rome, talking to the Israelites in Rome. And what was the biggest battle after Christ left? was the Israelites that were scattered in other cities like Rome, Galatia, etc., did not have a right to the kingdom. And the Jews who were native thinking that they did have a right to the kingdom. So now Romans 3:9 is saying we have both proved, both Jews and Gentiles, which is all Israelites, that they are all under sin. So what does that mean right there?
That the Jews and Gentiles both prove that they don't deserve the kingdom?
Meaning, give me some more to that. Remember, your question is, why is it saying, as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one? Meaning, Christians are usually to say, ain't none of us righteous, brother. We can't be. But what is Paul talking about here? Like that's what you have to take them to and make them understand. What is he talking about right there? Tazaryach.
So, is it a situation where, like, of course, the Gentiles had no knowledge of self, they weren't circumcised after the age day, and just ignorant to the law. But the Pharisees and Sadducees, and the Jews and whatnot, they had the letter of the law, they didn't have the spirit of the law. So they didn't, I guess the lack of the word, have brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the things that, treat thy brother as thyself. Is that this situation?
What did they both do?
They both sinned.
They both sinned. That's what he's trying to tell you. What he's trying to tell you is that whether you was a Jew,
whether you was Southern Kingdom or Northern Kingdom, you both sinned.
You both sinned. So like that's why it says, what then are we better than they? Remember, the biggest battle that you would have, especially like Romans the 11th chapter, when you have the olive tree, like I said, boast not against the branches, because the Northern Kingdom, because the Southern Kingdom fell too. Now the Northern Kingdom can boast against the Southern Kingdom, but in reality, neither one can boast against each other. That's what he's saying. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have both proved that we can't keep the law. So how can I say I'm better than an Ephraimite? How can the Ephraimite say he's better than a Judite? Both of us failed against the Most High. It's better that we just start from scratch. Now read your verse.
Verse 10. As it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one.
As it is written, there ain't none righteous. We all fell. That's the cut to anybody thinking that they're better than someone else. Like, how you gonna think you better than me when we both fucked up? Excuse my language. We should both just walk in this walk righteously. I don't try to condemn you. You don't condemn me. We walk this walk. That's what that's talking about. Keep going.
Verse 11. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. They are.
Okay, what does that mean now?
Referring to the Jews and the Gentiles, there's none of us that understood the law, that it was spiritual.
That's absolutely correct. We did not understand the law until Christ came. How do you know? Because Christ had to come. And Christ gave us what the spirit of the law was saying. You understand? So now, none of us that understand it, but now we can understand it. So now, it's mainly about, there was a hatred of the northern and southern kingdoms. So now it's about killing the barrier of hatred. So now the Gentiles or the Israelites that were not in Israel get to come back, but you don't come back like, yeah, y'all niggas messed up. Y'all messed up, so now I got the opportunity. If you would have kept it, I wouldn't have had it. You know what I mean? Because then it keeps the animosity that kept us separated in the first place. You understand? Keep going. You need any more?
Last one.
Okay. Sis had a question in the back. They're going to give you the mic.
How do I respond to somebody when they tell me that King James was a homosexual and we shouldn't trust what how he translated the Bible?
Okay. Yeah, King James did not translate the Bible. King James, I'm not saying like you're supposed to know. I mean, just answering for you. King James did not translate the Bible. What King James did was authorize the top Hebrew scholars and the top Greek scholars of that day to translate the Bible so that the common people can get it. Because before then, it was just given to the like Catholic priests or something like that, and then they would spoon feed what the lower end people would get. So King James fought against the Catholic Church and had it translated. So he had no hand in translating. As far as homosexuality goes, there's no record of him being a homosexual. When he died, you had his enemies, I think it was maybe 20 years after he died, that his enemies put out the false rumors of him being a homosexual. You can read the Basilicon Doron. It's spelled Basilicon. One more time. Basilicon. Doron is Duron. The Basilicon Doron, you'll see how he tells his son not to appear gay, not to dress gay, not to be like a woman, XYZ. Like King James was against the Roman Catholic Church, so he was just vilified after his death. Like that didn't come about while he was alive, it came out after he died. But there's no evidence of that he was homosexual. Say again?
Like it was like next.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely wasn't homosexual. But he didn't translate the Bible. He's just a name that's on it because he authorized it. So it's under his authority that it was done, but he didn't translate the Bible. All right?
I think all those rumors came about because he translated the Bible, like you said, sir. It was called like the People Bible. Before, like it was like the Latin Vulgate or something like that, and that was a dead language. So like they could tell them that.
Yeah, you can tell them anything.
Yeah, like
you can spoon feed.
Over.
Yeah, just like they do that in the Christian church now.
Right.
Nobody in the Christian church read the Bible. Pastor say go to Mark such and such, read a little bit of it, and then he philosophized the rest of the book, and then you just believe what he's saying. So imagine you not having the Bible at all, so you just trust in this man that says he's of the Most High.
Right, and he can tell you anything.
Right, and he can tell you anything. And so King James was against that. Young man.
No, well, God. So do you recommend Josephus?
There's nothing wrong with reading Josephus, but just like any historian, you just want to make sure it correlates with the Bible. Any historian, it's always going to be slavery or something like that. So there's definitely nothing wrong with Josephus. You just want to make sure you before you teach anything, just make sure it's approved by the school. All right, but Josephus is a good book. All right. Any other questions? Young man in the back.
I wanted to go back to what it was in Romans. They said not one was righteous.
Yeah, that's Romans, the 3rd chapter, the 10th verse.
And in Luke, the 1st chapter, I guess it's the 5th and 6th verse, it said that Zacharias and Elizabeth was perfect and upright. So I wanted to get the understanding on that.
Like, why is it saying that about Luke?
Yeah, why is it saying about Zacharias and Elizabeth? The verse 6 said, and they both were righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinance, blameless.
Right. The context is different. Remember, what Paul is doing is taking two nations that are the same and trying to kill the divide of boasting. So imagine you were native to Israel, right? So you think you have a right to the covenant. I'm an Israelite, but I was cast off. I'm living in another nation. So in your eyes, I'm a heathen. So now what Paul is doing is saying, you was a sinner and I was a sinner. Neither one of us is righteous in the eyes of the Most High. So why are we in competition with each other? That's what that's saying. As opposed to
the whole nation.
Right. As opposed to when it was talking about them, they were serving righteously. That, like when Paul said that, of course, he's never saying there was nobody righteous. That wasn't the point of that. The point was when someone tries to claim to be righteous against another brother, neither one of y'all have that authority to say so. All right. Any other questions? Let me get Romans 3 and 7. What? What? Oh, y'all trying to avoid the book? Romans 3 and 7.
The book of Romans chapter 3 verse 7. For if the truth of God had more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner?
All right, so now I've had Muslims, I've had Christians, I've had Israelites, I've had people that are against, they follow the New Testament, but they don't follow Paul's books. All say Paul saying he lied, and saying if his lie made the glory of the Lord go up further, what's the problem with it? So then I can lie to push the glory of the Lord. So, so says, so if the truth of the Most High had abounded through my lie unto his glory. So my lie brought glory to the Most High. Now, again, I'm acting now. Right. All right, I'm acting. All right, so now I'm going to play the guy that say Paul lied, and the lie was okay. So I could lie for the Lord. What you going to do? Yeah. You might want to take a step there, Tazaryach. Hey, good job, too. Good job.
I mean, but judging by what he's saying in chapter 7, like the question marks, like, isn't that like sarcastic or like rhetorical?
Brother, let's say right here, the truth of the Most High has abounded through my lie. He's saying he lied. So I need to know, brother, because if this is the case, I mean, I could break all. I mean, if you could break one commandment, I could break a couple. I could lie.
Okay, well, let me ask. All right, so would this be the situation where, okay, so Paul was Saul, right? I'm saying he was a persecutor and killer of the children of Israel, right? So where it says that the truth of God has more abound through my lie unto his glory. So the lie was unto his righteousness.
What was the lie?
The lie was he thought that he was righteous unto the letter of the law. But then when he came into the truth, when he got knocked off the horse on the road to Damascus, and Christ asked him, why does he persecute me? And he found the spirit of the law, which is basically brotherhood, showing that these people that he was persecuting are really his people, and that they're following the law, statutes, and commandments, that he was wrong. That would make him a hypocrite. So that would that be the lie?
That is absolutely a lie. You're talking about the hand. I ain't think he was gonna get it. My was like, yeah, thank you. Okay, so now for those that didn't catch what Tazaryach was saying, the lie that Paul was talking about was what Paul was doing before he followed Christ. Now, before he followed Christ, Paul was a Pharisee. Remember, he sat at the foot of Gamaliel in the book of Acts, and he was persecuting the followers of Christ. So now imagine that cat, and he was famous for it. So now imagine that cat coming into the truth, following after Christ. They're going to say, but you was killing those. You was against those. That's why he's saying, if my lie brought more glory, why not I be judged better? That's what he's saying. So that's the lie. Like a lot of people look at it like to say that he did lie. He's not saying that he lied. But what he's saying is that what he was believing in or following was a lie. That's for any Old Testament Israelite or something like that. To keep following the Old Testament, you're living a literal lie. And that's all Paul is saying. That's why when you read verse 8, now read verse 8. Who can read verse 8 for me?
Verse 8, sir. In the book of Romans chapter 3. And not rather as we be slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say.
Now, after he says that, he says, and not rather as we be slanderously reported. Meaning, if you're saying that we're lying, that's slander. Right. So that's the proof to tell you he's not saying that we ever lie. He's just talking about his life before the truth. Keep going.
One more time, sir. Let us do evil, that good may come.
Let that be known. On the way in, a brother told me about a brother talking about he can get some computers.
Right.
This is an example. He said, let us do evil that good may come. Hell no. You can't steal computers and bring them into the school. That's not evil and good may come. Because then the damnation is just. So everybody understand? So Paul never lied. Don't let him. Okay.
For a Christian, he playing the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So
good. I'm good at
role playing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if the Christian says, well, the scripture says that the wealth of the unrighteous is stored up for the righteous. So I just stole a whole bunch of computers, but I just came into the truth. I mean, I know that this was wrong, but shoot, I mean, I don't got no use for it.
Yeah, we don't want that.
I'm sorry, Christ.
Yeah, you give it back. But you probably gonna go to jail. So you probably can't give it back, but we ain't taking it. We're not taking no stuff. All right. Any questions in the room? Young man in the back.
Wait, I got.
Yeah, he owned the mic. The slides.
Right. I thought the italicized stuff was
italicized. Oh, you said like in parentheses.
Yeah. I thought that wasn't part of that. Manuscript at first. This is something they added.
But you can use that here. See, even though when it says like as was supposed and Luke.
Yeah, that's why I got.
Right. So like as was supposed, it's not a problem with that being in there because it was supposed to be the son of Joseph.
Right.
Like it's not supposed to not be the son of Joseph.
Right. But they'll use that to make it.
They can't though. Right. Because if you look at the lineages of Christ, both of them start and end with Joseph. Mary ain't in there. So here, if you was to read this without it, it says, and not rather let us do evil that good may come, whose damnation is just. So now that's reading it without the parentheses. So either way, it's the same. Yeah, either way, it's the same as that. Okay. All right. Any questions? Go ahead, young man in the back.
I have a question about Isaiah chapter 4, verse 5.
Go ahead.
The book of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 5. And the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense.
What's your question on?
I wanted to know what is that saying?
Okay, now now start from Isaiah 4:1 all the way down to 6. This is talking about us being put back in prominence, so to speak. Right? So start at verse let's say 2.
Book of Isaiah.
Yahawadah wants to start at 1. Start at 1.
Book of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread.
I should have known Yahawadah. 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, go ahead.
We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be by thy name to take away our reproach.
Now you know that right there is something that would take place perpetually. That's not something. Now you don't have to go for 7. Like people might read that scripture thinking they got to get 7. You don't. You can get 1. You can get none. You get whatever it is that you want. You say what? But if you want now, the only thing I'm gonna warn you, brothers, man, if you're gonna take a woman, remember you have to keep that woman. You got to nurture that woman. There's a great responsibility that comes with it. You don't want to do it worldly. Right? You just hitting it and then just rolling out. You got to take care. You got to be a. Remember, the scriptures say to take away the reproach of that woman. Right. So that woman's life was messed up before you came. So you don't want to further that pain that she went through the rest of her life. You know what I mean? Okay, so now read verse 2.
Okay. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel.
So now it's talking about the beautiful, like the earth, everything is going to be beautiful. The escaped of Israel, meaning the Israelites that survived. You understand? Keep going.
Verse 3. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. Verse 4, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
Keep going.
Verse 5, and the Lord will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day.
So what's the cloud of smoke by day? What is this the metaphor from?
From the Exodus.
From the Exodus, exactly. In the Exodus, what were we guided by? We was got
by the chariots.
We guided by a chariot. So what it's saying, you're gonna have that the same protection or the same guidance that they had in Exodus when they was coming out. They had that pillar that guided them. We're gonna have that same protection by day. You understand? Keep reading.
A cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night.
Which will mean you'll have the brightness in the nighttime as well. You understand? That's what that's talking about. All right.
Sir, I got a couple questions online. Are you willing to take?
Yeah.
Come. The first question will be Officer Nashak Mayatah. He asks, Salakia, sir, in Genesis 12 and 5, what does it mean the souls being gathered? Was Abram teaching?
Genesis 12 and 5. Go ahead. Who has Genesis 12 and 5? Okay.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 5. And Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan.
No, he asked, was Abraham teaching?
So he says, was Abram teaching?
No, he wasn't teaching. He was moving. Remember, when you start at verse 1, this is the Lord telling him to get out of his country and to leave his father's house. So Abraham is just gathering all that belongs to him. So his wife belonged to him. And those men, when it says the souls that he had gotten in Haran, I mean, those men that came under his authority from Haran, he took them with him and he rolled out. That's what that's talking about.
The other question would be Officer 5001 Yahweh. He asks, Salakia Saran, where is I.S.U.P.K mentioned in the Bible? I know it's in the book of Ezekiel somewhere.
Yeah, give me the little sanctuaries, Ezekiel 9 and 16. 11 and 16. So I knew it was verse 16. Get that for me real fast. Shit.
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 11, verse 16. Therefore say, thus saith the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary.
As a little what?
A little sanctuary.
What?
A little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come.
That's I.S.U.P.K. That's the little sanctuary that exists in every country, every city, no matter where you go. That's I.S.U.P.K. All right. That's it. Ezekiel 11 and 16. Any other questions?
Would this be a precept for what we just read? Psalms 12 and 5?
A precept for what we don't read a lot.
The Ezekiel 11 and 16?
Oh, Psalms 12 and 5, you said? Read that.
For the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I arise, said the Lord. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him.
You can use that because you would say we're the safety. Yeah, you can use that. I would start at Ezekiel 11 and 16. You can use that. All right. Psalms 12 and 5. Good.
Is there another question just came in? I'm not really sure it's lucky, but it's a sister by the name of Aisha Grace. She said, do you know in scripture where it says Yahawadah was over 2 years old? I'm asking in reference of Christmas and the birth of Jesus.
don't know what the hell she's talking about.
10 years old at his birth.
I would need her, if you want to respond to her until I would just need her to be a little bit more clear in what she's asking. Because I don't know what she's asking.
So for the sister online that asked the question, hiatus to grace, make sure
somebody just type in the chat and just ask her to explain that.
Salakia, sir, since we're in the month, could you, I mean, I know Jeremiah 10 breaks down Christmas, but as far as like the fallacy that Christ was born during the winter months, could you like expound upon that, sir?
Yeah, if you go into Luke, I believe it was during tax season. Is it Luke or Matthew? It might be Matthew, the 2nd chapter. Let me see. You know, tax season is around April. That's when the so-called America follows after Greek culture. So the same tax season that they had in Greek culture, the same tax season they got today. And Christ was born around that time. So that's how you know he wasn't born. Very simple. And then just show all the heathen birth, Nimrod, Tammuz, all of them that were born around December 25th. I believe it was Matthews 2 and I'm trying to make sure I have it. Bear with me 1 second. If you go to Luke 2 and 1.
Come, sir.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world shall be taxed. Verse 2. And this taxing was first made by Cyrenius, was the governor of Syria.
So the tax season, now they bringing up this tax season and they showing that Mary was great with child. She delivered the child around tax season. That's how you know the tax season for the Greeks was around the spring, which is just like it is now, around the spring. So you use that to show. All right. Young man in the back.
I got a question.
Grab the mic.
Okay. Salakia, sir. I got a question. Okay, so it said twice in 1 Samuel 10 and 11, and then also in 1 Samuel 19 and 24. What does it mean when they say they saw also among the prophets? I know the one that said that he took off his clothes and he started prophesying with them, but then the second one.
Back up a little bit when you said, what does it mean when it says what?
It saw also among the prophets.
Read Samuel 10 and 11.
1 Samuel 10 and 11. And it came to pass when all that knew him aforetime saw that, behold, he prophesied among the prophets. Then the people said one to another, what is this that is come unto the son of Kish, that saw also among the prophets?
So now what's your question?
Is it the same thing in 1 Samuel 19 and 24?
What does 19 and 24 say?
And he stripped off his clothes also, prophesying before Samuel in like manner and lay down. But it was like he was going nuts, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I really didn't understand what was going on.
With Saul?
With Saul.
Well, what was wrong with Saul during this time?
I believe at that time, I want to say David was being raised up.
And what was happening with Saul?
He had a demon on him.
Why did he have that demon on him?
Because the Lord wasn't with him no more.
That's true. But why did he have that demon on? That's true. I want really white people to answer this question. Well, I mean, white people say yes, your hand up.
With that same thing being said,
he did have a demon on him. Okay, he wasn't prophesying. He was going crazy is what he was doing. And Yahawadah is correct when he says he didn't serve the Most High. But what I like about it is the reason why he had them demons on him is because he wouldn't kill all the white people.
Right.
He wouldn't kill all of Amalek. Because he wouldn't kill all of Amalek, the spirit of the Lord left him. That's why they would say every time he would try to prophesy, that's why they would say, is he among the prophets? How was he doing that?
Okay.
You understand?
Okay, so that's what I was trying to get done.
Yeah, it wasn't like Say again?
He had saved that king.
Yeah, he saved that Amalek king, right? He was supposed to kill all of Amalek, and he did not. You like when the Lord say don't spare a white man, just kill all the white men.
Damn right.
You know what I mean?
Was he done?
Was you good to go? Yeah. All right, no sweat. Go ahead.
I had a question.
Is a precept to that. Is 1 Kings 22:22 when the Lord was talking to the angels who would go forth, and one of them said, "I'll be a lion spirit in the mouth of these prophets."
Well, for Ahab, yes. But that demon, okay, the demons just know you. Like even that lion spirit, the reason why the Most High knew that that spirit would work on Ahab is because Ahab loves to lie. And so that spirit knows you. Like demons know you. Like demons know what you love, know what you hate, what's going to make you hot, what's going to make you do anything. And it's going to come to you in the most tempestuous ways. And you're not going to think it's a demon. You're going to think it's the Lord sent this woman to me. The Lord sent this man to me. You know what I mean? So it's going to be like that. All right?
I had a question in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. That's the sun and the moon, right?
Right.
So in Genesis, the first chapter, the third verse, when it said, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. What is that light?
Okay, so what's that light? We'll start at verse 2.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water.
So what does that mean when it says the earth was without form? And remember, you won't get this answer anywhere but I.S.U.P.K.
Right.
So now, when it says the earth was without form, what does that mean?
Still in its
what?
Elemental state?
Mean what?
Like this mineral, like it wasn't put together. Like I guess it was just been.
So what would it be? It would be like gases.
Okay,
so just imagine, it wouldn't even be water yet. Remember, it's saying the earth is without form. So it's telling you that this is the earth, but all the chemicals, you know, when you see on the chemistry chart, you see all the different period. He's a smart guy. Periodic table. The periodic chart, you see all them different gases that are on there. So when you see the earth is without form, so just imagine the earth is not a circle, but it's all the elements that it takes to make the earth is just sitting there, waiting, right? So it says it's without form. Keep going.
And God said, let there be light, and there was light.
So what's the light?
The core.
That's exactly what. In the center of the earth is the earth's core. When that light crack or that fire crack, that allow all them gases to now mesh together and then form what is called the earth today. So that's the light that it's talking about in the middle of the earth.
So, that's science, right? So that's
yeah, they say science ain't in the Bible, but it's right there. That's why people don't know. You know how people try to say, if it said let there be light on the first day and the sun came on this day, it's a contradiction because they don't understand in the middle of the earth. It's damn near like a little sun in the middle of the earth. And that's the light that it's talking about. And that light is what formed everything, allowed all the gases to heat up and join. So now you get dirt, water, XYZ. Right? Yep.
Just wanted to add to that. And that would actually correlate with the earth being created over a long span of time, contrary to popular belief. They believe, like people that don't believe in the Bible, they think it happened within a 7-day period, like a real.
Oh, yeah, it's like that's why the scripture said they unto the Lord is 1,000 years. So this is So this is a process. You know what I mean? A process that it takes. So the first day is a long span of time. You have the light cracking, then you have the elements coming together, then you have the second day, then you have the third day, XYZ like that. All right. You had another question?
I did have another in Genesis.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it would have to be in Genesis.
Right.
Dinosaurs. Like I haven't really heard anybody speak on that. Like, I mean, because the white man is a devil, a homosexual, and a bitch.
Right.
So, you know, they got videos of evidence of Nephilim trying to say that those were the offspring of the angels and the humans.
Right.
So they got those bones.
But y'all know that's bullshit.
We know that's bullshit.
Okay.
That's the question. So if that's bullshit, what about these dinosaur bones we see in our lake? Like,
dinosaur bones ain't bullshit though. If you get a book, I forget what it's called. It's like Evolution something. I have it, so I'll send you the title. I just can't remember right now. The dinosaurs was created. They just died off, like any species. Any species can die off over a process of time. Now, I don't agree that they were necessarily shaped or lived as the white man say that they did. But when you do the, you know, they found red blood cells in the bones, which it was only like 5,000 years old or something like that. So they existed. They just.
And I remember that story, which was cut that the Earth is so many million years old that they say that they roamed 65 million years ago. And the blood cells wouldn't be apparent.
No, that's right. That's why I brought up the blood cells. Right. Blood cells can only live for a certain amount of time. Right. So the fact that there were still blood cells in the bones cuts that theory. But I'll get you the name of the book probably when I get back. No, sir.
I have a question along the same line. So as far as like dealing with the dinosaurs, like I know when when I don't know if it was the Most High or maybe the angel of the Lord that told Job like to gird his loins up like a man. When he was talking about, you know, describing the Leviathan, you know what I'm saying? So is first and foremost, is Leviathan a dinosaur, and is he locked away in the earth for, I guess, the day of judgment?
I wouldn't say Leviathan is a dinosaur, but Leviathan is a creature that exists in the water. Like, you know, they discover new species in their water all the time. Right. You know, it's got the deeps of the water. So I wouldn't say he's locked in the cage either. I wouldn't teach that. But it was a creature that existed. Any other questions? Okay.
So that is on the same lines. For teaching purposes, could we use like animals such as like elephants to say, okay, like this is proof that a large animal of this magnitude existed? Like dinosaurs? Like okay, you
want to prove dinosaurs?
Well, not. I guess. I mean, if you having a battle with a, you know, like to say, because dinosaurs, like you said, did exist. They're trying to say, you know, you know how like where the Bible says prove all things. So you want to try to have some, you know, outside of the blood cells and stuff like that. You know, could you look at an elephant like that large of an animal?
I never think you got to prove things by bringing up like other animals, right? Just use the timeline, right? So, for example, in that same book I'm talking about, I believe it's like Evolution Debunked or something like that. In that same book, right, it'll tell you how there was a volcano that erupted in Hawaii, right? And so rocks formed from that volcano, right? So they took one of those rocks and carbon dated it, right? Because you know how they say carbon dating is supposed to be accurate. So now this rock was formed in 1948. But when they did the carbon date testing, one test said it was 3.2 million years old. Another test said it was another set of million years old. So make them prove the dating method that they're saying is true. And that red blood cells is the body bag, because once you have red blood cells, that can't be a million years old. It can't be a billion years old. Figure for like that.
Right. And I've read that carbon dating can only go back as far as something that they know. The exact data for certain that they can test it against.
Right. That's why history is something that you can't fully trust, only because even the information that they putting into the method is their human thought. Like you said, is what they know. So they put that information in the computer, and then the computer computes based off of that, which is why it's flawed. Right.
So like it, so in Nehemiah, when it names in Nehemiah 8, when it names like the camp, like no, Nehemiah 10, Salaki.
When you say the camp, you talking about
it names all of the brothers. In Nehemiah 10, it names like a whole list of brothers.
The people who sealed the covenant. You talking from one? I said, and those that were sealed with Nehemiah.
Okay.
And they name it all. Okay, go ahead.
Is this saying that all these brothers were living at the same time, and all these brothers have, some of these brothers have books in the Bible? So you got like Jeremiah in here, you got Daniel in here, you got Baruch in here, you got Obadiah, you got
you know, all of them were around at the same time.
So the question is, it would be like how we are all living.
Yeah, you see how you have I.S.U.P.K, Texas?
Right, that's the question.
New York. So Tazaryach is the highest ranking man here.
That's right.
You got
right.
you got Gadar in California. You got Tazaryach in Atlanta. So it'd be no different than if your name was written in there. Now we're all at the same time under one body, under one authority, teaching the same exact thing. That's what that's saying.
Right.
Because it says she was in Moab. That's it. Hey, go to Ruth 2 and 6 for me. Yeah, go to Ruth 2 and 6. Is it Ruth 2 and 6? Yeah, go to Ruth 2 and 6. Yeah, they say Ruth is Moabite because she lived in Moab. You know, they say Cornelius was a what do they say? Cornelius was the Italian man. They'll break that shit down all day. Yeah. I think because they just want to sleep with other nations.
Right.
If Ruth was a Moabite, because you know, if Ruth was an actual Moabite, then that means Yahawadah got Moabite in it. And if it's okay with Yahawadah, then it's okay for me to deal with other nations. I'm trying to be like Christ family.
Yeah, he was a Moor, and he was trying to tell me that
he was a Moor.
He changed his race on his license to white because we are the salt. And salt is white, so his race.
You know, Moors won't call themselves black.
Right.
Yeah, they call themselves white. Yeah, we're debating Moors January the 5th. We're gonna debate Moors. They gotta prove we Moabites. They gotta prove it.
He's like, why do you? He's like, you know, you my sister, and I was like, but you call yourself
A
white.
Moor,
I don't mess with the white man.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we the salt, and I was like, right. He's like, so we white.
Damn, so sugar.
Yeah, sugar is white too. I don't get the correlation with that. But now also Ruth being a Moabite allows them to be Moabites. You know, it allows them to like if you're a Moabite, if you're a Moor, you have to justify yourself. And for whatever reason, all of these different religions, whether it's Kemetic, Islam, Christian, whatever, all have to justify themselves according to the Bible. Even like Hinduism, they try to say Christ has something to do with Hinduism and shit like that. Yeah, all of it. I don't know no religion that exists that don't try to incorporate the Bible because that's the only real thing. So for the Moors, Ruth being a Moabite justifies them calling themselves Moors because then they feel they're connected to Israel because, of course, Ruth got with Boaz, and had a son, which eventually Christ comes from that lineage. But who has Ruth 2 and 6? Yeah, read that. Oh, you got to cut for okay. Read Ruth 2 and 6 first.
This is the book of Ruth, chapter 2, verse 6. And the servant that
now,
was
he's talking about Ruth right here.
And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, "It is the Moabite Tish."
The who?
Moabite Tish.
The who?
Moabite Tish.
Like I was that kid. The Moabite Tish woman, just like the Jewish man. Moabite Tish meaning you can live anywhere. Like Paul said he was a Roman. When you read Acts 21st chapter, Paul said he was Roman. But then in Romans the 11th chapter, he said he was an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. Right. He's a Roman because he was a Roman by citizen. So Ruth was a Moabite by citizenship. But she was actually an Israelite that just lived in the land of Moab.
That's right.
That's all.
I got the definition for you as well.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, so Moabite Tish strong, which is H4124, says that a Moabite from father
a citizen of Moab.
A who?
A citizen of Moab.
A citizen of Moab.
And inhabitants of the land of Moab.
Damn.
Yeah.
I got a scripture that talks about when we went into the land of Moab.
Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 29:1.
Uh-huh.
These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make the children of Israel in the land of Moab.
In the land of what?
In the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them in Haran.
So Israel never just stayed in Israel.
Right.
That's why you had stranger scriptures. That's why you had sojourner scriptures if they came back. That's why King Solomon made that decree if they prayed and faced the east. That's why we face. Y'all know why we face the east, right? We face the east because Solomon made that decree. We pray facing Jerusalem. That's why we pray face the east. That's why. All right. So Ruth was a more. Ruth was the Israelite.
That's right.
You about to have me see this.
Hey,
brother.
Right, sir. I have a question about Matthew 10. Sorry,
Matthew 10:5 about the lady at the well.
Okay, go ahead. Matthew's 10:5.
Go
ahead.
I know it says that she was a Samaritan.
That's not Matthew's 10:5. You talk about the woman. You talk about John 4th chapter.
It's like John 4.
Okay, good.
But I know it's also in Salakia. Okay, so in John 4,
right.
Was that lady a heathen?
Yeah, that was a heathen.
Okay, if you read down to Salakia.
What'd you say you had?
Now, when it said our fathers will.
Okay. Somebody, did anybody know in Kings where the Hamites was putting that lamp?
I know that, but okay, so it says that Salakia. Let me find it.
Yeah, please find it.
Okay, so in verse 29,
right?
I'm gonna start at 28.
Mm-hmm.
The book of John, chapter 4, verse 28. The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city and said to men, verse 29, come, see a man which told me all these things that ever I did. Is this not the Christ? All right. If you skip down to verse 39, and many of the Samaritans that city believed, and many of the Samaritans of that city believed on him, for the saying of the woman was testified, he told me all that I ever did. Verse 40. So when the Samaritans were come unto him, they besought him that he would tarry with them, and he abode there 2 days. Verse 41. And many more believed because of his own word. Verse 42. And said unto the woman, now we believe not because of thy saying, for we heard him ourselves, and know that this is indeed the Christ, the Savior of the world. All right, then he says that he departed.
Okay, what's your question?
So my question is, she went back and told the men of the city that this man knew everything that she had did. And so they went back to him, and then they started believing him.
So who was those Samaritans?
Of course they were Israelites.
Right.
So was she not an Israelite?
What did he do for her?
He just told her she was a whore.
No, but what did he do for her?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. He gave her nothing, did absolutely nothing. She was just a heathen. Do you think heathens don't know who the Christ, I'm about to say who the Christ. You don't think the heathens don't know about Christ? I'm asking. They do know. Right. They do it all the time. When y'all be down here in Texas, get a boot kiss left and right.
Right.
They looking for mercy from y'all.
Right.
Because they know y'all the men of the Lord. And so they hoping they can get a drop of crumb or something like that.
Right.
That woman at the well, that's what she wanted. But she didn't want it at first. Remember, she wouldn't get the cup. She said, thou being a Jew. That's how you know, read verse, you see what I'm talking about? When she said, thou being a Jew, that's where you should have started. Go to
Lucky. That's verse 9. That's verse 9.
That's verse 9, right? Yeah, read verse 9, please, Baba Bashar.
The book of John, chapter 4, verse 9.
Right.
Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which I am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans.
That's a body bag right there. She just separated herself from us. That's how you know she's not us. All right?
I have a question on that, Ruth.
Yeah, go ahead. You want her to be Israel? I didn't know if you wanted to be saved or something. You know what I mean?
So when she said that Jews have no dealing with the Samaritans, this was after we were taken out of that land.
Right. Okay. We all wasn't taken out of that land.
Right.
Always think majority. Majority of us was taken out of Samaria, but then of course the Levites came back into Samaria because the Hamites was getting killed. They didn't know how to serve the Most High. So they actually learned of the Most High because of the Levites in that land. 2 Kings. That's how they knew about Christ. That's how they knew about the scriptures.
Oh, well, you just answered again.
Yeah, 2 Kings, the 17th chapter is when we got kicked out. And when you read down further towards the end, around verse 40 or something, that's when you see the Hamites were getting killed, and they brought the Levites back into the land, other Israelites back into the land. All right? Tazaryach?
Hold on, Salaki. That sister had a question.
Oh, Salaki. Go ahead.
My question is, I believe I heard it one time, but I'm not sure, so I want to ask. Are there things in the sea that are so deep that, of course, the white man can't get to, like beasts?
He want to, though.
Are there like actual beasts or things that and what are their roles? What are they there for?
Okay, you can't teach. I wouldn't teach that they are. I wouldn't teach that they aren't. But there for sure are things down there. That's why I said they're always discovering new species down there. The further that they can go down there, what's their purpose? I don't really care personally, but there are things down there in the deep. Now you know the white man searches out the deep. Anybody know why the white man searches out the deep? Says, oh, well, that's true too. But there's a biblical reason why he searches out the deep and the depth.
Is it because Esau is a hunter?
Well, that's true too, but there's a biblical reason why he does that.
Would it be because they're always searching for ways to try to hide or figure out like how to get away?
That's probably true too, but that's not the full reason. No. If the scriptures say if you can measure out the depths or the deeps of the earth, then Israel will stop being a nation before the Most High.
Oh, wow.
That's in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter and the 37th verse.
All right. So this question is dealing with like how to cut like any conscious person or whatever.
That's Jeremiah 31 and 37. Anybody want to
dealing with like Job 39 verse 9. So I have people come and ask me this. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee or abide by thy crib?
39 and what?
39, Job 39 verse 9. And I would have people like, so you believe in the Bible, you're a priest, prophet, Lord, so are unicorns real?
What's a unicorn?
So I'm in my rational mind, because of the area of land it was, I thought that it was a rhino. But Abijah asked the question.
Abijah in New York?
Yeah, Con. And he said it in a very sarcastic way, and it made me believe that it might not be a rhino. You know, so I'm just.
What's a unicorn? Y'all does that?
Goat with war horn or sheep like?
Yeah, that's all. Like whether the horns, you know, I usually have two horns,
right?
So they could twist together. That's all. Just have one. That's all. That's all.
So it's not a rhino.
No, it's not.
So why? No, because they said it was a rhino that went out and extinct, and they had a picture of it.
Who did that?
It's pictures of a specific type of rhino, like the
send me a picture of that. Yeah, I like
it had one horn instead of like the horn, like the mini horn that extended to like 4 to 5 feet long, and this they call was the rhino. I mean the unicorn of ancient days.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Why?
Any other questions in the room?
Like sir, Romans chapter 3, verse 7.
I did that already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So where was you at?
Like it, sir. If I
Where's he going?
I was out there working with the boat.
Oh, okay. So like it. Yeah. My bad. You don't make it in the back.
Okay, the woman at the well, she said,
You need a mic.
Here you go.
All right, the woman at the well said, "Are you greater than our father Jacob?" So would that make her an Israelite?
No. It's no different than, you see how she separated herself? It's no different than the so-called Jew today. The so-called Jew today believes that that's their father too. Right. But they're just imposters that were just put in their land, that believe what their forefathers said. When you read Jeremiah 16 and 19, it says our fathers have inherited lies. So she's just a product of that lie. All right? Yeah. Any other questions in the room? All right, with that, I'll pass the class over to who's in charge. You want to take it from here?
Damn.
To Officer Tazaryach.
Damn.
That's right.
We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother and sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. This is another month in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry.
Right.
Tithe, which is the commandment, Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10, means a tenth in the Hebrew by Ashura. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, gives to the treasury department. Priest fund, which is a free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like, give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, I believe it's real, right? That's